Yeah.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Track Talk Live, the joint level collaboration between the Mr. Analyst channel and Sports Talk Tech. As always, I'm joined by veteran sports journalist Leighton Levy, and I'm doing from Sports Talk Tech. We're here to give you the best track and field analysis out there, so make sure you are subscribed to both channels and so you never miss anything. Leighton, there's so many world-class performances last week, indoors, outdoors, on the roads, but we'll have to get to all of that at some point. But there's no other way we can start this program without talking about the double Olympic champion from Rio and Tokyo in the 100 meters, Elaine Thompson-Herah. I've characterized it as her successful race completion as something more of a human interest story than purely a performance story. Because the last time we saw her in the track was June 9th, 2024 at the New York Grand Prix. In that 100 meters, she finished last, 11.48 seconds, had to be carried off the track, which subsequently scuppered any chances of trying to defend her title in Paris. So the question is the return of Elaine more of a human thing, or should we be thinking about it from a performance angle as well?
I think from a human perspective is probably the better approach to it, because it's hard to say what she's going to do after one race. It's a 60-meter dash, 7:24 into a minus 1.7 wind. There's a viewer on my channel that don't think that the wind is a factor in the 60 meters outdoor. I beg to disagree. Because as a former sprinter, I know when you come up into the wind, it does hold you back. And 7:24 tells me a couple of things. One, she's healthy now because she was able to run through the line, and she was pretty competitive. She lost to Lavanya Williams, which is, not really a surprise. This is a young kid that's coming through, is at dynamic speed now. She was at Rossi's, I think. I think she won in class 3. Talented girl.
Right.
And the fact that Elaine hadn't run in almost 2 years, there's a lot of rust involved in that as well. So, but the fact is that she was able to complete the race, walk around, run around, hug up some fans, run across the track, and then was so receptive in an interview post-race. It speaks to not just her physical rehabilitation, but the mental wellness as well, because I think when during the interview, you talk to some athletes and you can feel that you're under stress. For her, you can see it almost feels like she's at peace. And that's always critical, because when you have tumult going on in your mind, you can't focus. You can't execute the way you need to focus. You can't do the things that your body wants to do if your mind is not locked in terms of that synchronicity with your body. And based on the combination of both things, from a human interest standpoint, I think that's the story. Elaine is back. Whether or not she goes on to become, get back close to where she was before, is another story, because that the sample size of one 60-meter race is too close. It's too small, way too small. But what I liked about Saturday as well was just how well she was received by the crowd. I mean, I'm telling you, man, we've all seen the crowd respond to Shelley. We've seen the crowd respond to herself over the years. This JC is a very small track. It's a very intimate track. So a lot of people are right on the fence, right next to the outside lane. Elaine was in lane 6, which is just one lane separated from the edge of the track. And you could hear the crackling of the energy when they were lining up, and the energy when she was announced. After the race, people were reaching out to her, calling to her, "Good girl," and something, and they were hugging her and stuff. So it was a nice energy. So it was a nice welcome back for her, and I think it probably would leave her in a very good place mentally, knowing that at the very least, she has the crowd back with her as well. So, I like that. I mean, the performance itself was not bad either. I couldn't complain. I did the math on it, and it's about a 715, between 715 and 717 without the win. You can't, there are people right now who are perfectly healthy who are winning those kind of times. So, I mean, it's a win-win for her, I think, on performance and on the perception of where she is mentally. I think she'd be, I grade it like a B plus or A minus on Saturday.
I like that angle, Leighton, because I think you did it on your channel. I was doing it too, where I was reticent to really spend a lot of time digging into the performance because the layoff was just so long, right? You want to just give her a chance to breathe because it had reverberated everywhere that she's back on the track because she's a superstar in her own right, and people they never want to see that you leave the sport when you're hurt, when you can't fulfill when you can't go on your own terms. That's the way to think about it. So we could dig into it, and people have been doing it, but I think it's not the right time, as you're saying, right? I think it's hard not to.
It's just one race.
It's hard not to do the calculations. We all do it. And it's hard not to say, well, how would that stack up against Julien Alfred and a lot? But that's not for now. I think if she really wants to go to an indoor, then that would be a different story. But I suspect the idea here is for her to feel it out, be comfortable, and build on that, because there is a cycle that if she gets her way back, she could end at a major championship on her own terms. What the outcome of those medals might look like, or whether or not she's in an individual event or not, is certainly, we can't guess that right now. That might be challenging, but it's good to see Elaine back. Yeah, and I like how you put that in perspective too. Yeah.
Yeah, because the other thing is that, when I think a lot of people noticed it as well, and it's something that we've discussed here on the live already, is she still signed to Puma? Because if you notice on Saturday, she ran a pair of Adidas spikes, which would suggest that the Puma deal is, has expired, or whatever the circumstances is. She's not now officially a Puma athlete. Whether or not that means she is going to be signing with Adidas, I don't know. Whether or not, she has something on the table being discussed as we speak, we don't know. So those are some of the other things that we're going to have to probably pay attention to in the coming weeks, because then she's going to be finishing her career as an unsponsored athlete. Because I don't know if she still has the NCB thing. I don't know if she still has the flow thing. I don't think those contracts are still active. So it's the big question is now whether or not she has another deal on the table that she's waiting to sign, or they're still negotiating, or whatever it is. But what we did know is that she ran in a pair of Adidas spikes on Saturday, and she looked good in it too. And based on what we're hearing, she's also blowing through training as well. So that's another good thing, because my sources are telling me, and I've seen her some mornings when I drop my son at JC. Yeah, I see her at training, and she looks good in training. So there are positive things for her in terms of her recovery or return to the sport. And I suppose we can also hope that she has a contract on the table somewhere that's going to help her to then finish her career as a sponsored athlete, as opposed to being unattached, so to speak.
Right. It's interesting you brought that. Well, let's go there then, Leighton, before we get to that. Because you looked at her. You know what was noticeable, besides obviously that spike and so on, is when you look at her physically, she doesn't look like an athlete that was sitting down for an extended period of time.
She looked lean and she looked strong. That was one of the things that I was impressed with up close when we were doing the interview post race. Because you saw it when she was running, but when you're not that close to the athlete, you tend to be not sure what her fitness level looked like. But when she was standing in front of us for that interview, she looked lean, she looked strong, she looked powerful. That reel that people have on, I think it's TikTok or IG, where you see one of them females posing and then you hear the horse neighing in the background. That's what she looks like. She looks like she's ready to go. So she looks like she's in really good shape, which is what I like. You see an athlete who hasn't competed in almost 2 years, and you see them up close, and you don't see any excess body fat. You don't see anything that suggests that she was just lounging around the place and profiling. She looks fit. She looks strong. I really like that.
No, that's an important thing, and hopefully everything works out, because sometimes you and I get in this space where people think we're critical of Elaine, and no one is ever critical in that context, but we want to see her finish well. There's a quick question here, since we're on Elaine, from Dynamic 416. He's asking, do you think Elaine should stop running the 200 the rest of her career, considering her health history?
Her health history? From a totally ignorant standpoint, because I don't know how healthy she is in terms of that Achilles injury, I would suggest probably that she sticks to the 100, because the 200 on the curve does put a lot of pressure on your lower parts of your extremities, especially your ankles. So, but that the 100 doesn't. It's just that with the 100 you're running in a straight line. There's no lateral forces per se acting on your ankles and your Achilles as much as it does on the 200. So in terms of the fact that she's 33, in terms of the fact that she is recovering from an injury that has plagued her for the better part of 8 years now, I think. Yeah, I'd probably suggest that she sticks to the 100, because, and then just for the sake of resting her body and allowing her body to recover, sticking to one event would be my advice. My layman's advice to her: just run the 100 alone.
Yeah, I don't think we can disagree with that, Leighton. Even when athletes start to get older, and we understand she hasn't always been running because of injury, but you still get older, so it's not easy to respond to the demands of what that kind of training requires at the very top, right? Because this is an athlete that you don't expect to just want to come back and play around. She wants to be in the mix, her name has to be amongst the top athletes. So I don't necessarily believe that she would return to the sport and just flounder the career away.
Yeah, because look, she's coming back to as I mentioned, a very competitive space. Shericka Jackson, the Clayton twins, a healthy Janina Smith, possibly Shanice Walker, possibly Kimber Nelson, possibly Brianna Williams, Brianna Lyston. It's a stacked field. So for her to come back, it would, for me, be in her best interest to stick to one event and focus on improving and just honing her skills in that event, because it's not going to be easy coming back to break through. The Clayton twins right now are the lead of the pack, along with Shericka Jackson. So that's 3 people you have to get past already. And then based on what we've seen from Brianna Lyston so far this season, the 60 meters, she looks better every race. 7:07 the last time out, albeit the fact that, Julien ran past her like she was standing still.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you expect Brianna Lyston on current pace to be under 11 seconds this year again, and joining the likes of Shanice Walker and possibly Kimber Nelson, and of course the Clayton twins. And so talking about 1:10.65 and 2 10.7s, and a couple of 10.9s in the mix. So she's going to have to run well to get back into the conversation.
I agree with you, and we'll get to Lyston a little bit later. I think Objectivity is over on your channel saying his guess is she's not going to be interested in the 200 going forward.
But I wouldn't be either.
Yeah. I want to, since you mentioned improvement, and we take it how we take it on the show, I want to, and you might be in the mix to say more about this later this week as well, but I want to turn our attention to Stacey-Ann Williams, because there's no other way to put it, Leighton. It's a significant improvement over the 300 meters indoor. 35.92 last year. What was it? Was it 36.92 a year ago?
Yeah, she dropped a full second.
A full second off. That's not marginal improvement. That suggests serious progress. And when we put it in context for this season, only the great Shawnee Miller-Weber has gone faster, 35.79. She already just now bumped Dejanay Oakley down to 35.94. We know it's not a distance that is a championship distance, indoor or outdoor, but it's a marker here. So what I want us to, I guess my question and what I've been thinking about is, what does it say, given that we can say her record as an athlete so far is one where she has a lot of experience in the relays, silver medals, Olympic bronze, and ran a really big time last year in the championships in Tokyo, 49.59, right? But then just couldn't handle it in the semifinals, going into fifth place, 50.39. So at that point, we were speculating whether her body was able to go back to back in the way you needed to. So I've just made a big speech and not ask you a question, but what's your take on this improvement, and what could it possibly mean for a 400-meter outdoor career for her going forward?
Well, look, last year was her first time breaking through the 50-second barrier, which she's been planning for a couple of years. Because I remember talking to her at trials 2024, and she said she tied around 50. She wants to break through, so she broke through. But the thing is that when you break through, it's often hard to repeat, because one of the things is that your body is adjusting to the new pace and the new level of performance. So it's not usually easy to get back there once you do it again. The thing that impressed me about the weekend is not the fact that she ran 35.92 per se, and of course dropped a full second off her previous best, is how strong she looked closing. Normally, you're running a new PB and you're kind of swimming the last 50, 60 meters. She was driving through the tape at 350, at 300. So it suggests to me that she's a lot stronger than she was before last year. And clearly she's a lot faster too, because to be able to run that fast over 300 meters, you have to be able to conserve something over the first 200 that you have enough to come home.
Right.
Which means that your maximum speed, you have to be somewhere that maybe like 80%, 90% going into the last 100. She didn't look like she was fatiguing any at all. My light keeps going on. I don't know what's going on with that. But the way she finished suggests to me that Stacey's a lot stronger this year. So
right.
49s again, yes, obviously. The thing is, how low can she go? Because 49.5 last year, maybe 49.0 this year, 49.1, or God forbid 48, because that's where it is now. 48 and 47 is where Sydney dropped it to, and Marley De Paulino and Salwa has taken it down to a different level. And what you see from Shawnee coming back suggests that you have it. I mean, and put it just to broaden the scope of it a little bit. When you look what Dejanay Oakley has been able to do, 39.94,
right,
also suggests that she's probably trending to that, because she ran 49.65 last year, is trending towards a 49 or 48. And she did say it when we did the interview with her that she's aiming for 48 as well. So from a perspective of potential, I think you're looking at somebody who's capable of running at least 3/10 to 4/10 of a second faster over 400 now for Stacey, which is a good sign. It makes her competitive. It doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to go and win medals if she goes to the Commonwealth Games this year, or in China next year. But if the improvement that we've seen from her in this first race, or this 300 this season, is linear in any way, you're looking at a situation where she'll be competitive in Beijing in 2027, and you can't rule out the possibility that she'll be even faster then than she was, last year.
Yeah, it is as you mentioned, the sport demands an athlete now in the women's 400 meters, if they want to be competitive, to be in 48 range. And be honest, you have to be very low 48s if you're going to ever smell a podium. And so that might be a different thing to look at. I suspect, Amber Anning talked about it recently. I think Adelike was saying this as well over an interview, that they look at what happened last year, and it's a game changer from those two women in particular. Well, three women, because we have to put all three medalists running ridiculous times there. And all season too, especially for the likes of a Paulina and NASA were running outrageous times, which
from
really,
April. Remember NASA run 48.6 in Jamaica, in April. So so you have a train for that. And the key thing, the interesting thing about it, I should say, is that like for example, Dejane, who ran 35.9 to 4 on the weekend at the Tiger Paw meet, she split 23.66 for the first 200, and she finished at 51.62. You and I were watching that. Yeah. And you could see that she could go faster. I think she was probably just blowing off something. Because she wasn't pushing it like Shakrini. Shakrini for to run 51.27 and actually won that in Tiger Paw. So so you're looking at a situation where the women are beginning to understand that for you to be able to run 48, you have to be splitting 23s for the first two and probably come home in 24 highs or 25 lows, which is hard to do, so.
Yeah, it is certainly hard to do, but if you want to, the great thing about sport, and we've seen it all the time, is that you have to respond, otherwise pack it up, right? Yeah.
Can't get left behind.
Yeah, as Clip is saying, Stacey's 300 doesn't really make me eagerly anticipate a 400 this year. Oh, it doesn't?
Yeah.
Interesting. Her first 300 has always been the strongest part of her race. Hopefully translate, though.
Yeah, because it's not about the fact that she runs fast, the 300. Remember, she dropped a full second off her PB from last year. A full second in a sport where increments of time or increments of a second make a big difference. Let me give you an example.
It's unheard of.
When Bolt ran 9.58, Tyson Gale was only 0.13 behind her at 9.71. Think about the distance between how Bolt beat Tyson Gale in 2009, and you will see what those increments mean in terms of distance. So if Stacey is able to drop a full second off her 300 time, if she runs a 400 with similar speed distribution, of course, saving energy for the last 200, it is not inconceivable that she runs 49.1.
Right.
Because she's going to fatigue in the last 100, regardless how fit she is. But
if you can drop... Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you can drop a full second, that means you're looking at maybe an incremental increase of about between 0.3 and 0.5, half a second, going the full 400. So, it's not an exact science, but it kind of gives you an idea of what's possible.
Another way of thinking about it is that if you're the coach and you look at that and you said, well, the background training seems to be working so far, right? Whatever work they've put in and stepping it up, whether it's the athlete responding to training differently, or they just said, look, had a conversation at the end of last season and said, if you want to reach certain levels, you have to start doing other things and doing it with the intensity has to go up or the volume has to go up, quite possibly both. And it will bear fruit. It's just not something that you have to step back and smile, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because what is clear is that she's a lot stronger than she was last year. Right? And she's faster than last year. Whether that strength translates into greater strength endurance and speed endurance is another matter. Right. But based on what we saw, as I said, I was expecting her to start to feel at about 50. And she didn't, because I was looking for it, because the first 200 was fairly quick. She actually separated from the rest of the field. But then when I expected her to start the speed decay to start to take effect, it never happened. She was actually pouring through the line like she could run 350 without any additional stress. So it's a great, it's a significant improvement on her part.
Right. Let's touch on something that happened Friday. Like Friday's a world away in track and field, given how quickly these meets come quick and fast. And thanks guys for coming on. Don't forget to put your questions and comments, and we'll try to get to them as best as possible. Go back to Julien Alfred again, and maybe also to think through Brianna Lyston, right? You and I were back and forth while those races were going on, and I was like, "Do not break the world record here, because you don't want to break it at a silver meeting." To be honest, you want to do it on a gold tour or someplace where the prize money is a bit more. But Leighton, if that was not a false start in the, a recall done in the final, I think it was gone. It looked like it was, because she sat back in the blocks. And how do you run down the likes of a Lyston and Sears like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Look, her reaction time in that race was 0.217.
Yeah. She's sleeping.
That tells you. Yeah, it tells you that. So if you take away what the record is, 692. Yeah. If you took away that and then added that in terms of her acceleration, because the different phases of the race, she probably would have gotten close to the record.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it. And because one of the things that was impressive for me in that race was, despite the fact that she sat in the blocks, her patience was remarkable, because normally you would think that she would panic because Sears got out ahead of her and Brianna got out ahead of her. She could have easily panicked and her race plan went to pieces. But I saw a perspective of the race from a front camera. Saturday morning, somebody sent it to me. And when you looked at her at 30, she still had her head down. And she was being patient in another race, in a race where you don't have that much time to be patient, and still accelerated through the field and won comfortably. I mean, 699 to 703 and 707.
703 and 707.
Yeah, it tells that she won comfortably. So, yeah, it looks like right now she's on world record pace, because if she improves her start if she can get back, because our usual start's about 1.16 or 0.1, I think 0.16 is about the average. Right. She's that much closer to the world record. And I'm sure, and based on what I'm being told, that she was kind of loaded for that meet as well. In fact, the two meets that we saw, 704 and 70 and 7 flat, and then 701 and 690. Yeah. So when Florial takes the load off of her, and so where's World U20 again? Poland this year?
Poland, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When he lightens the load a little bit and says, "Go do your thing," what's going to happen? Because then the acceleration is going to be quicker. She's going to be a lot more explosive. So yeah, so the plan to challenge the world record is clearly on, and you can see the signs are very obvious, very, very obvious.
Yeah, the thing that you mentioned, Tuna, that's the thing that is most impressive. It's not even the times and the way she came back in the race. It's what we've seen over this last 2 weeks, which is all we have to really judge. But it's the way she's executing the first part of the race. It's almost like she's out there, and all you have to do on the instructions is to make sure you run the first part of this race in a brilliant way. And I think I think they're setting this up for outdoors, because the difference has to be somewhere when you fight Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, and we don't have to get into that right now. But our execution has been brilliant lately. I've never seen it like that, to be honest with you. She's always been decent, and sometimes it starts shaky, but this time different.
Yeah, and it's something that she confirmed to me after we spoke after the race week before last, where she said she was working on that part of her race, the start, the acceleration out of the blocks being more linear, right, and being more efficient in terms of coming out of the block. So yeah, you're looking at a situation where clearly they're working on the start and the first 30 meters, and I think I mentioned this before, where when she raced Melissa in Oregon, Melissa got away from her early.
Yeah.
That's what I think they're trying to close that gap that allows her then to maximize her power and maximize her speed in the later phases of the race. And well, clearly right now, with work still going on, you can tell that I'm keen to see what she does in subsequent races, to find whether that consistency is there that would allow her to be more efficient and to be faster over the first 60, certainly.
Sure. I just want to stop you quickly. There's May Brown. She's on your channel. She says loves both of our platforms. How can we support financially? And she just gave you a super chat there, Leighton. We can't pull it up on screen the way we're doing it, but shout out to May Brown for giving you a super chat over there, Leighton. So
I appreciate that. And by the way,
super chat. Yeah.
let me just say this: we hit a new benchmark this week, and I'm really happy.
Right.
4,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate the support. I been trying to get content that I think is relevant, because I think people know me by now. I don't know how to categorize it. I don't do these things for the clicks per se. I like to get the clicks, but I'm a guy that deals with facts and information and not the other stuff. People are good at that other stuff.
We try to level-headed stuff. You don't go for the clickbait. Yeah. So yeah, we really appreciate it. Leighton got over 4,000, so long may it continue. I have a join button on my channel if you guys want to support that too. But I think the most important way is, as we always say, is to like, subscribe, share the content. That's always important.
Yeah. And by the way, can I just put this in? I have a WhatsApp channel as well. So you can go into you joined us well recently on the WhatsApp channel. I have about 25 subscribers. I have about 25 subscribers. So you can join there as well, because I post my videos in there as soon as they're up. So you can go and join there as well. Because if you don't have time to sit in front of a computer, you can always click it on your phone and the WhatsApp
Next time
channel.
When we do a live, Leighton, we'll put up a QR code for your WhatsApp. But if you want, I have also a WhatsApp channel. Since we're in the business of promotion, you can do the QR code there and get it if you want.
Absolutely.
Right. So back to that race, in particular, Brianna Lyston. Again, we got another opportunity to look at her, and I think we're seeing a good progress here, right?
Yeah, clearly. I mean, her PB is 7:03. But again, the context for here is the fact that she's coming off injury as well. And the fact that she's been running, she looks better every single time we've seen her so far this season. In the preliminary round, she looked good. 7:09, I think it was. In the final, 7:07. And she looks fast. She's not optimally fast yet, but you can see where Lance Brahman has her with the kind of power that she needs. And I mean, look, she has a small frame, so she's not going to look like a Julien Alfred. She's not going to look like a Veronica Campbell-Brown, for example. Right. She's going to be lean like a Merlene. And but she's clearly getting stronger, and she's clearly stronger now. I think where her weakness is in terms of emerging from the blocks. I don't think her mechanics are where it needs to be just yet. But you can see that there's improvement. And as long as Lance Brahman has her, I'm convinced that by the time the outdoor season starts, Lance is going to have her ready to really run fast. I expect her to probably open with 11-0 outdoors and then 10-9 and then possibly 10-8 by summer. I don't know if they have plans to go Commonwealth Games, because I said most of these athletes don't think about Commonwealth Games anymore. But certainly, Brianna looks like she's ready to. Clearly some work that still needs to be done.
All right. Her
acceleration is not where it's going to be in another year or two. But you can see that is happening, because even Jessa Sears would run 10:77.
Right.
She and Brianna had the first 40 meters of that race, almost lockstep. And then Brianna kind of failed at the end, because I think Jesus is a little bit stronger and a little bit faster now. But you can see that with time, Brianna Lyston is going to be the force that people expected her to be when she left high school for.
Right. I can't wait to see her over 200 meters. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. If they run it this year, I don't know. I get the sense, though. Yeah. I get the sense that Lance Brahman is going to take his time with her, given her a history of hamstring injuries. So he might just have her work on 100 this season. I don't know. I'm guessing here.
Yeah.
And just work on that, and then probably 2027 or towards the end of the season, 2027, start to do some work for the 200 for the Olympics in 2028. Because my understanding is that their plan is for her to be close to her best in 2028 for the LA Olympics.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I would love to see that. We all want to see that. Dynamics gave you a shout out there. Sonia came on high. Rocky is saying Julien ran her fastest time at altitude. Unless she runs at altitude this year, she won't be breaking any records. Yeah, Albuquerque, and she did run it in Albuquerque, but
Yeah.
I don't really. I think she's a much improved athlete over 60 this year, though. But
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She is. I mean, you can see it. I mean, Julien has run. One of the things that people don't understand, you know, Irina Prevadova ran under 7 seconds 13 times. Julien has now run under 7 seconds 6 times. No other athlete has ever done it as many times.
Right.
So her body's already used to running under 7 seconds. So it's just about tweaking things with her start, making it more consistent, making sure that it comes out at the right angle, making sure she's generating the right kind of power coming out of the blocks. And the world record, and whether or not it's Albuquerque or not, the fact is that the world record is the world record, and if she breaks world record in some high altitude place, it doesn't change the fact that the world record is the world record. I mean, as long as it's legal.
And to be honest, I don't think they care about that world record. They care about what they do outdoors, and this is setting them up for outdoors, I imagine.
Yeah. She runs like Merlin. She's very languid, huh? So you can't tell how much power she's generating. But if you look at how she drives her arms and the frequency of her cadence, you can tell when she's generating the kind of energy. Merlin had this very loping stride, very elegant stride. That's similar to how Brianna Lyston runs. But if you counter rotations, you can see that she's turning really quickly. It's just because of her running style. Her legs are longer. So, the rotation looks a little bit longer, but it's like Bolt. When Bolt was running at his top speed, he doesn't look like he was going that fast because his legs are long. That's a similar thing with Brianna Lyston. Her cadence looks different from athletes who are shorter than she is or who have shorter legs than she does. So she looks like she's not really trying, but she's actually turning quite quickly, and she's generating a lot of power with the strikes. Heat strike for her that generates a lot of power, about 550 square foot a pound, 550 pounds per square inch, I think it is, or something like that. But it's the sprinters. Each strike generates, once you land under your hip to propel yourself forward, that's the force that keeps pushing you forward. So yeah, she's very deceptive for real. And but don't make it fool you, because when she's ready for run fast, she's gonna fly.
All right. So we still have to touch on some other top performances, but let me ask you about this one, because this is the one that I enjoyed. It may not have pulled a lot of people out of their seats, but the 8:29 from Cordell Tinch. So guy comes out and he runs 2 races. The first one he didn't want to run, and he told his agent that I haven't gone into spikes. I'm just gonna show up. And they didn't believe him, and he runs. Then he runs another one, I think back-to-back weeks. Then he's like, I'm done for indoor, and I'm going to do long jump. And when he said that the first time, I thought he was gassing us up, Leighton. I thought he was making this thing up. And we know he's a jumper from the collegiate ranks and high school, but to come out and jump 8:29, which is a massive jump in the context of the season. And also, I think he had an 8:11 or something like that in the series. The part about it that I like is that it reminds us of the 80s, right? And part of the 90s where you saw the likes of a Carl Lewis doubling, and But your thoughts on that? Because I saw that, I was like, what the? Because, I believed when he said he was going to do the long jump, right? Because I was talking to some people abroad who know what's going on in this camp. And I said, I'm done with the hurdles for the season, indoor season. But one of the things one of the things about the long jump is that once you have good speed, if your mechanics are right, you can jump far. I've Carl Lewis, Mike Powell, Tajay Gale for the more modern people. This little kid from Italy who is deceptively quick as well. What's his name again? Furlani.
Furlani, yeah. So But 8:29, dog. I mean, if you had started out under 8:10 and not 8:01, or you say, okay, fine, good on me. But 8:29,
Yeah.
it's impressive. It's impressive. And when you watch it, his technique isn't. I mean, yeah, he used to jump before, but his technique is pretty decent.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of elevation. He rotates forward well enough, and 8:29 suggests that a few more jumps in. 8:45 is a world lead, right?
Yeah,
I think he
so
can probably.
Burkov has a 8:45. Mattia Furlani has a 8:39.
8:39. Yeah.
And then there's his joint third for 8:29 as well. So
yeah, so he can contend in both events, because 8:29 can win you any Diamond League event on any given day. So kudos to Tinch. I mean, I was impressed. I was
impressed too. And even it's hard to pick apart the technique, but he was going up, and it's like that kind of classic school jumping you like to see. So I felt that we needed that, and sometimes the sport needs that. I know we've gone past the athletes doing the jumps, and we've talked about it before about what it does on the joints, and sometimes the jumps don't really feature the way you want. Everyone wants to be a sprinter, so just don't focus on that, because that's where the pay comes and also the limelight in the sport. But if a guy Cordell can get if he can rack up and jump and find some program that is gonna accommodate doing the 110 hurdles and jumping at the same time, it would be special. I think he could carve his way in the sport the way Lewis did and Jesse
Andres. I mean, the thing, and of course, and it brings excitement to the sport, because he is known now as the world champion, in the sprint hurdles. If he takes on the long jump, for the casual fan, they're going to be like, this guy can jump too, and it brings that kind of interest into the sport, where the athletes are not just pigeonholed into one event. I think, Oblique, Kishian, Lyles, the 1-2, but it's been a long time since you've had a genuine sprinter, whether a sprinter that does the long jump or does any jump at all.
Right.
So it's a good dynamic to have in the sport.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I mean, I guess I'll say it. I guess Marion is probably the last we've seen in a long time that picked up something. But we'll move on from that.
Leave it.
Brian says he can play in a long jump.
Jenna
for real. Is asking where's Shericka. I guess she means Jackson.
Don't. For the first time, I can honestly say I don't know. I haven't seen her I've been up to UTech a couple of days last few weeks. I have not seen her at all. So I don't know if they're training differently this year, given that it's a non-media championship year, or what it is. But I can't find out. So the next time I do it live, I'll find out what's happening with her, because I haven't seen her. So I don't know. She's completely out of my line of sight. I haven't seen her. I don't know what she's doing. I haven't seen her in training. I haven't seen her in the gym. I don't know. So that's something that I'm drawing a full blank on.
Investigative work. Yeah. Stay tuned for that answer. Let's, before we get into more performances, just a quick update for those who probably wouldn't have seen it, or maybe you have had. Femke Bol is done for the rest of the indoor season. She pulled out. She was scheduled to be in that World Gold Tour
France.
In a couple of days in France there, and pulled out. She was going to attempt the 600 meters, and she, started the season and looked decent, as we spoke about it a week ago or more. I can't recall. Dutch national record 1:59.09 looked so casual doing it that we anticipated that she was gearing herself up, but it seems that they are doing the right thing. So you have to take all the precaution, because you don't want to mess around. So we wish Femke the very best. Yeah.
Achilles is like a strain thing going on with her Achilles, so they've decided to like shut it down for now and prepare for the outdoor season, because Rome wasn't built in a day.
You don't want to mess around with that. It's a proper sports management there to take care of the athletes. But speaking of France, on on Thursday, and it kind of rounds me around to Keely Hodgkinson because I don't know what she's on there, 156.33. But it's gonna be a fireworks there. If I get a chance, I'll put this thing up. But it's gonna have Rivera, who's gonna be in the race, who has a 157.27 this season. Duguma is gonna be in that race too. I think that's gonna be a cracking race that will end the night in France in a couple of days. You know, I suspect the meeting record of 156.36 from Maria Mottola might be on the line. You know, but talk about Keely Hodgkinson there, Leighton.
Brother, did you see how she started at 800 there at the British Nationals?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm like, why she go so fast? And I'm like, but she kept it up. You know, it's not like she took off and then back off. She just kept going 156, what, 13, what was it, 33?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, this beat alarm. It's like she came out last year around 154. And then, you know, she surprisingly lost at Worlds.
Right.
And then comes back now. Clearly, they're found a formula for her to run fast consistently. And it's going to be very interesting to see what she does on Thursday, because I think she already knows she made the British team for World Indoor, so that was not a situation for her. So let's see if the world record, the World Indoor record, is going to go, and whether or not, you know, see how fast she can run. Can she go? Why don't you go 155, 154?
Yeah, which incidentally,
that's kind of what's stretch.
Yeah, the Jolinda, Cheplak, 155.82. I think she ran that, and I didn't realize this. It was in the same year she was born, but it was actually on the day Keely Hodgkinson was born that world record was set. So, look,
yeah, so it's been around.
Yeah, she's been around. I think I don't know what to say here. I think she's gonna do something amazing.
What I think
the conditions are right. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing about it is that it all depends on the pacing of that race.
Yeah.
Okay, so Duguma is in that race, right?
Yeah, and Veru's in that race. She's
and Veru's in that race as well
too, because she's done 156.27. And Duguma, I don't think she ran outdoors this season. Indoor.
I don't remember seeing her.
Yeah. So
it's going to be, the pace is going to be fast.
Yeah.
So that could push each other to something ridiculous, you know. And see, it all depends on what their plan is for. I mean, obviously the plan is to win, but how do you win is probably going to be the strategy in that race. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, because I remember Keely, after talking to British television or so after the race on Saturday, and she was saying she wanted this. It's something that she's been thinking about, and you know, it just never happened. And so I think they're really working for this world record. So we'll see. Yeah.
It's gonna be one of those races that I think people, if it works out the right way, I think people will be talking about that race all year.
Yeah. And as you know, the 800, I don't know what she's up for this year. I suspect she might go to Commonwealth Games. I don't know. You know, they have a way of trying to get Keely. They have a way of trying to get them to go there. I think Hunter Bell didn't run. She has a medical buy. So it's all interesting stuff. The Brits are doing well there. The Americans are the ones who are doing a lot of good stuff in the indoor. And speaking of that, Cole Hocker, I mean, I don't know if you saw, I watched that about a couple of times and I just still can't process it. 3:45.94, you know, second fastest ever now. Only Inga Britson has a faster time. I mean, the guy was crazy. He's closed in like 54.82 for the final 400. I mean, the last 200 was 27.34. He was killing it out there. I mean, and
you know how strong you have to be able to close like that. It's insane. Listen, Roger Bannister became the first man to break the mile record. 4-minute mile in 1956. 70 years now. I think it was 53. I think it was
54 or 50, something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And people are saying, boy, before that, there are people are saying it's not impossible. But but what these guys are doing these days, it's like what can't they do? Because look, Cole Hocker is one of those, I call him nondescript athletes. He's not particularly handsome. He has this poor opponent's heel thing going on that,
Hey,
he's not somebody
maybe there's a section that likes that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But, but if you see him in a crowd, he would not stand out. He's a very normal looking guy. But when it goes on the track, he becomes a beast. And his endurance levels are astronomical because he runs at a pace that you would expect some athletes or lesser athletes will start to fade late in races when he seems to be going stronger each 100 meter, or each lap indoors, where it's almost like clockwork for him. And it makes you wonder just how fast he can go. Right now, 3:44 looks very possible for him as well. If he can get the right clip at the right pace, and run at the pace that he's running now, I think he can lower that time significantly as well, because he's clearly very strong. He's clearly faster than previously, and he can hold that speed for very long periods of time. So, it comes on, I think, to the strategy and it depends on the race, I guess, and depends on who's in the race with him.
Yeah.
Because I get the sense, I don't know, you can correct me on this, because I think you're probably more au fait on him than I am. Well, I get the feeling that he likes to run off the pace and then run through.
Yeah, that's his thing, and he always used to set himself up in some ways where he has to push and go in the inside. And I mean, even the way he won in Paris in 24, no one would have anticipated he was going to walk in the inside.
My wife and I were watching that race. Yeah. I thought he was going to make a move, but I didn't believe that he was going to win.
Yeah.
But I thought he was going to be on the podium, but. And remember, I think he was also boxed in that race a little bit as well. So he's has strategies that benefit his running style, and I think if he gets the right field to push him and probably pull him out of his comfort zone a little bit, who knows what he can do? He's a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah, no, he's something special, and we'll see. I mean, last year it wasn't necessarily easy for him, but he's one of those. He did do the 5,000 meters, but the 1,500 wasn't the thing that he wanted. He wanted to deliver on, and he couldn't do it. So it's interesting. So Hocker. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of great stuff here. I mean, I thought in distance as well. We don't have to go through all of them. There's some comments over here that we missed. Jules says hi, Leighton and Dwayne. Objectivity had said something about if anyone is to beat MJW, they have to work on all aspects of their race. I think that's true. And he's also saying, I expect Brianna to be healthy in preparation for 27 and 28. I suspect he meant Brianna Lyston here.
Lyston,
yeah.
I see. Who did somebody say? Well, 1 second. Somebody saying Shericka should do like Elaine and take a couple of years off. Taking a couple of years off, boss. Here's the thing. Yeah, you see when you have a sponsor, taking a couple of years off is not doable because you have most of these contracts are structured in a way in which you don't meet certain benchmarks in the course of the season. You lose money off your contract. You have to run. You have to compete.
Right.
So maybe you might take it a light year. Maybe just run the 200 alone this year. I don't know. But, given that it's not I don't know if there are plans to go to Commonwealth Games or Ultimate Championships. But the thing is, she's going to have to compete. Whether or not her program is intense is a completely different situation. But you can't tell your shoe sponsor, say, well, I'm not about to run this year because...
Yeah, it doesn't work like that, right? Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Those contracts are funny. If you don't compete, you don't make no money.
Right. Mindset says Cordell Tinch is a very talented athlete. He considers himself a jumper who can do the hurdles. His long jump ability is superb. Yeah, we touched on that. We agree. I mean, he's special, He's special.
Yeah. So Navaski running in France on Thursday as well. So, we can look out for that.
Yeah. And there was some good 800 meters from Handal Roban. I mean, obviously, for Lutkenhaus just He's
Yeah.
just, I don't know if
World
I
record, World
understand
under
that
20
kid.
record.
Yeah, U20
What?
record. The kid is crazy, Leighton. How do you do
Yep.
that? 144.03. That also moves him up to number 6 all time indoor, not even outside of the world record too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's the future. It's going to be very interesting to see him and One Uni, for example, in a couple of years. If One Uni can continue on his current, consistency. Because that's going to be a matchup that's going to be worth going miles to see, because this kid already can run 142. You know, once he gets on to 141, there's no telling what he can do. Tyrese, I think, brought the national indoor record on the weekend as well. In fact, he and is Rivaldo that broke it as well? I think somebody two people went on the previous record that Tyrese Roden had.
Right.
I'm trying to remember who, but I know that Tyrese broke the record. And so it's going to be nice to see him and Navas. I hope both of them opt to go to the Commonwealth Games, because we know the Kenyans are going to dominate and the English are going to dominate. But I think it'll be a good experience for them to go to the Commonwealth Games this year and push themselves. The Navas camp thinking wants to go on the 142.7.
Right.
Tyrese wants to go on the 143.7. So I think I honestly believe that they should probably consider it, especially how well Navaski has started this season as well, breaking the indoor 1,000-meter record. I think,
Yeah, no, I agree. They should run in those places because the competition will be good as well, and it's a medal to put around your neck if you can compete for it. Because, to be honest, it's tough, right? Like I think when you come, it's gonna be a bunch of 141 guys and probably better. Because I think Wanyoni might be close to the world record, given what he's seen everybody coming behind him too. So if you're not running that hard, I think it's going to be a challenge. How many men last year in like 16, 20 gone one?
Yeah, well, no.
142.
Yeah. 142 coming like 144 one time a few years ago.
Yeah.
So it would be good, I think, for Navaski and Tyrese to because look, Tyrese ran 146 and change, which is not fast indoors, really. I mean,
right.
But if you can get that time down to 145 by NCs, who knows?
You never know. Well, what your thoughts on Handal Roban? Because I think, he's at Penn State. It's an interesting guy. 144.73 as well in that same race behind.
That's what number 2 NCAA all time, right?
Because a couple weeks ago at Milrose, Colin Shalman, I think was it Milrose or either Milrose or Boston.
I remember the
he ran 140. He brought the NCAA record, so I think he pulled a whole second or something off his time too. So.
So Roban, but I remember Roban ran 146 and 142 at knockouts last year as well. So I can't tip my hand and tell this, but I'm planning to reach out to him to talk to him to find out the secrets behind his success this past 2 or 3 seasons. Right. I think he's got a JC here. So I want to reach out to him. Actually, that's something I forgot to do yesterday. Called Penn State and see if I can link up with him, because I don't have any other linkages to him. Right. So I'm gonna go through the school and see if I can find him, because I want to talk to him. I want to find out what's going on with him, because clearly the improvement is significant. And for a Caribbean man, I mean, as I said, St. Vincent have him and Shanico
Maloney,
So
very tiny.
If he can, too, So if he can do these ridiculous things, 144.03 indoors, I want to know what he thinks his ceilings are for this year at least, and see what his objectives are. So I'm going to try and I can tell you this publicly now that I'm going to try and get him and see what if he's willing to do an interview then and hear what he says.
Well, when it will be on the Mr. Analyst channel, so you make sure you're subscribed to that so you can get it. Brian is asking, since we're on the 800, will the world record go in the next 2 or 3 years? I suspect so. 140.91. All of us at some point had a moment in 2012 when David Rudisha did that, and and I think I can say, Leighton, and you can confirm, when you saw that, you're like, there is no way anybody's gonna be anywhere in that ballpark again. That's how I looked at it, because I never thought even pushing up on the Wilson Kipketer record, which was what 111. Just didn't think people would have been like coming anywhere, and then Rhodesia destroyed that world record, and now we're looking at. I have to say, I think Wanyoni, maybe a couple other guys could be targeting that.
Wanyoni is what? No, 22. How old is he now?
Yeah, it might be 22. I think he was born. He was born 2004. So yeah,
he's 22. Yeah. When his body matures in another year or two, if he stays healthy and continues to run like he runs now, the world record is his in 2 or 3 years. If not sooner, it might go this season. Especially in the non-championship year, he might probably take it on Diamond League meet 1 week and try and go for it. Because his PB is what, 140, 111?
Yeah, he has the joint second fastest with Wilson.
Yeah, so that's not very far away. And as his body gets stronger, and I suspect that he will get faster, it is not implausible for him to challenge the world record.
Yeah.
Things that we used to. I think there's some world records that, when you look at them, they're, for the time being, they're untouchable. Both 9.58, Marita Cox 47.60. Even though Sydney Shoya last year said is now becoming reachable.
A lot of field events, the 800. Yeah, the 800 now is coming into question now for women.
Yeah, the 800 is getting closer, so you can say yeah. But the 800 worker that we used to think was impregnable is not impregnable anymore, because we've seen Wanyoni, we've seen a whole bunch of men go on 41 in the last few years. Yeah. So Wanyoni for me is the most likely candidate to do it.
Yeah.
But maybe somebody else can come through and do it as well.
You never know. I mean, Mark Orup has a 140, 120. Sajati has also 141 and change to, I think, 4. That might be pushing it for them, but but you never know. I mean, there's a bunch of guys with 141 ability, including Bryce Hoppel, who didn't have the best of seasons last year. And then now you think about these youngsters coming through, and certainly there's going to be some kid from Kenya that we'll just don't know about yet. And it's this kid
named Lutkenhaus, I'm sure if
Cooper,
if him and Tina, him and one back up in the right race and the right circumstances, God knows what, they might run 140.5. I don't I'm pushing it here, but this, it's becoming within the scope of possible now. Right. That just a few years ago didn't look likely. That's what
I know this is like beating a record, but to put it in context for people who might be wondering still why that's happening, there's a number of things we can attribute it to. The bicarb is everybody's using it. It's something that was there for a long time, but they don't have diarrhea anymore when they take it. Yeah. And the shoes are much better now in terms of they used to running plastic. Now all these things are carbon fiber, the energy return. So you can take any number of studies which can say anything from a 1.8 to 4% improvement. It's not for every athlete. So and then the personalized training, the sports science is improving.
And the running surfaces. The surfaces are getting faster.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Konika's tracks are among the fastest in the world now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had a sample of it here. I wonder where it is. But when you feel it, you can tell that if I'm trying to find what is that?
We're gonna go on track showcases. I should go for my Olympic track from Paris.
Yeah, Paris, yeah. But I have a sample because the Konica guys left a sample when I came to Jamaica a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's you can see from the composition that when you lay this down and you put those spikes on it, you can take significant fractions off your time. So everything is improving. So it's not as hard as before. When Herb McKinley ran under 46 seconds for the first time, he ran that basically on cinder. So everything improves over time. So it makes mankind a little bit
it's
easier
important for people to recognize that too, because the sport changes, right? You think about all those years that people running 47 and especially in the hurdles, and you think, it's something. I know all these guys are running much faster. We have to put
the six,
in context, So Yeah, so those are some good stuff. I don't know if we probably missed a lot of stuff, Leighton and I, when we get on here, we go and not bring up
Yeah.
everything we want. I don't know if we've missed any of the comments. Maybe we could respond to Candy Kane again. I think she was responding to you saying what is the sense if your body is injured and cannot perform to standard. I think this is in reference to Shericka, but Shericka, I don't know how to process this. I think she's fine. I mean, I don't think she's not. She came back last season. It's just that.
Yeah, look, she wasn't last 2 seasons. Her body has let her down. Huh?
Yeah.
2024, we all know she missed the Olympics. Last year, she was hurt early in the season. Yeah. Came back, ran at trials, went to the World Championships, got a bronze in the 200, which I expected to get a silver from. I mean, but it works out this year because, I mean, we clearly saw something. Yeah. Amy Hunt came through. Yeah. You saw something happen to Shericka in the last 80 meters of that race. About 120, 130, something changed and she slowed down significantly. Amy Hunt came through. But going back to what Candy Kane is saying, Candy, the thing about it is the shoe companies, they are aware that athletes get injured, but they still expect you to compete because when they sign you to a contract, it's not just to support the athlete, it's about raising the profile of their brand. And you have certain obligations to those shoe companies. So unless you're going to be laid up in a hospital for the entire year, if you don't compete, the money that you earn from your contract is going to be depreciated. It gets cut down. If you don't meet those marks each year, you don't make no money. And eventually, if you're not performing, they might yank the contracts from you because then it's pointless. So yeah, so the athletes have to compete. And she doesn't have to be on her best. She just need to be on the circuit and meeting a minimum standard. We know Shericka can run 22s, 22-2, 22-1, 22-3. If she does that on the circuit, she's fine. And she's making money as well. So, yeah, it is what it is.
I mean, she has good appearance fee numbers. I run some diamond leagues, and look, it's not a season that you have to think about a major championship. So I think they will do the right thing and not put her in any undue stress, and hopefully.
By the way, Candy Kane, 22 flat is not a week 200 meters.
We high expect. I guess in her context, it's okay. It's average for Jackson at our peak, but I get it.
Yeah, yeah. 22 flat is done. Yeah, Shericka will be fine. I think and maybe that's why I'm not seeing her. Maybe she's easing her way into the season, and probably run a couple of races, get sharp, and make some money from the circuit. So there's no great rush this year. There's no major championship that she probably wants to get involved with. Maybe they're taking the year for her body to recover, as you mentioned. Right. So yeah, that's part of the whole thing. Cool. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you mentioned today, but there's something I wanted to mention on the weekend that I'm going to talk more about it tomorrow with Donovan Bailey, I think. But when I looked at Brianna Lyston on the weekend, let me tell you something, man. What I will say is problems. Problems. Listen, that kid and Rashawn Clark was impressive too. Huh? Yeah. 662, I think, for a 400-meter hurdle, man. It's clear like what kid I think is working on his speed. So that he can probably get a 47 low or 46 in the season. But Brianna Lyston, I don't know what Shanique Osborne is doing, but mercy. That boy, as long as he stays healthy, I think he's gonna damage some people in 2027 and 2028 because he looked awesome.
And he had a bad start in that race too, right?
He had a bad start and powered through a strong field. I'm trying to remember if that was the heat that Nkrumah was in.
I think so. I'm trying to look for it because there's so many things to remember.
The man, he ran 6. He ran 6:56. The wind was minus 1.0. And the man powered through the field like, yeah, got a bad start, so what? There's a lot of promise on the field. I mean, in Nkrumah, Brian Level, you have some young kids coming through.
662 for
62, yeah. Adrian Carr, there are a bunch of young kids coming through that they might not be at, the Bolts Asaf or Blake level, but they're going to be very exciting to watch in the next few years because believe me, what I see from these kids, as long as they stay healthy and they don't get distracted by, the fame and fortune or whatever it is, they're going to be special. I think, look, everybody's gearing up for the next major cycle, which begins next year in Beijing and, of course, the Olympics in 2028. And I'm sure the Americans are thinking that, everything is locked with Jordan Anthony and 643 on the weekend as well.
Anthony looked good over this weekend, to be honest.
He looked really good.
Yeah.
But you hear me now? Them boys, it's going to come down again to the Jamaicans versus the Americans, and it's going to be very exciting to watch because between Oblique, Brian Level, Kishian Thompson, and Akeem Blake, it's going to be tit for tat for the next few years. It's going to be wild. It's going to be. I think it's going to be. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what's going to happen the next couple of years.
Yeah, I'm sure the Nigerians and a couple of those guys that made it into some finals will want to have something to say about that too. But yeah, I agree. I think speaking since you were there, Oblique Seville too. You saw him. You said he looks like he's in the weight room.
Yeah, he looks a little heavy. Well, he admitted he's a bit heavy.
Right.
But I don't know if it is a consequence of significant lifting that he may have been doing. It's because he did say that video that I did with him, what was it?
A month ago.
October, I think.
A long time ago.
It was more than a month ago. Yeah, it was like September, October, I think, or November, where he said that he thinks he can get up to 40% stronger.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason why he looked bigger. I mean, it was obvious bigger. But if he's, and the thing that impressed me about it most is that he is bigger and obviously heavier. And he still ran 46.98, which is under his previous best of 47.04. It's an incremental increase, but he's carrying a lot more weight than he was last year when he ran the 47.04. Which tells me that he's a lot stronger now. And if he's stronger now, it can translate that onto the 100 when he sheds the weight. I think he's going to be, I've been saying last year that I think he's capable of running 9.6. Maybe this is the year he does it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't watch the British Championships.
You've been saying it for a while, yeah. Dynamics is asking that. I mean, we all watch the British Championship. You maybe, what do you think? Dina looked good to me. Yeah.
Dina looked good, 7.05.
Yeah.
And what I liked about her, I saw her race. I didn't watch the champion, but I saw her race. I saw Keely's race. I saw Amber Anning's race.
Yeah. Regis, what about Regis? John
I didn't see
daughter. Oh, you didn't see that race?
Yeah, I didn't see that. I just saw those three. I haven't seen anything else from the British Championship. Those three races when I saw. Because I was surprised that Amber lost. I think she ran a poor. The race strategy was poor, and she paid the price for it. But what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. We're talking about I was talking about Mercy. Dina.
Dina, yeah.
What I liked about Dina's race is that just like I said, Julien Alfred pulled out of the blocks and separated herself from the field early. That's what Dina did. 7:03. Her PB was 7:05. Her PB 7:03.
Yeah.
So she was pretty close, but she won comfortably. There was a clear separation between her and the rest of the field, including Amy Hunt.
Yeah.
Which is
good execution to Leighton in terms of spring mechanics. Yeah,
man. Her mechanics were clearly, and one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to her, but there are people tell me say maybe after work. I can't tell you because that interview is not happening for now. But because they told me likely after World Indoors, but she also looks like she's improving. Coming out of the blocks at first 30, she looks better than she did last year. And, so it's going to be very interesting to see. The matchup for World Indoors, I think is going to be interesting between Dasso, Dina,
Zainab looks good, yeah,
and Julien, and I'm sure that a couple of the Europeans are going to be in the mix as well. Other Europeans, I should say, because Dasso is from Europe. But
Van der Verken, probably, I don't know.
But she looked really good. She came out at about 45 degrees is where you want to come out from. But she powered through and got up really, really quickly, and then separated from the field. I like that, and clearly, 7:05 tells me that she'd probably break her PB again this season. She probably dropped down to 7:01. Who knows, sub 7? I don't know. She looks like she's capable right now. I remember we were talking earlier this year, or last year. Earlier this year. Or was it last year that we don't know why she hasn't been able to, why she wasn't able to kick on, and because she just turned 30. But maybe now she's found the right fit. She said it wasn't working out for her in Texas. But clearly no, things seem to be working well for her now. It's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to World Indoors as well because
a
couple
of weeks.
I think there's some matchups. Yeah. There's another, before we go, there's a quick mention. I have to mention Jerome Campbell from Jamaica ran a 7:48 on the weekend. He came second in the sprint hurdles. Yeah. But that's also an improvement from him. Know that he's at Arkansas for less than. He joined Arkansas in August. Maybe he's next great Jamaican sprint hurdler because remember he went to World Indoors last year, made the finals, but then hit a couple of hurdles in the final. Yeah. He looked really good. I was talking to him on the weekend, and it sounds as if he's going to have a good year at Arkansas this year, along with Vassiana as well.
Vassiana too. Yeah, Shericka looked good, but he wasn't in the final.
Trey ran what 7:43 this year or 7:42 or something like that.
Yeah, it was world leading. I think 7:43. I have to check again. I don't want to make mistakes. We get crucified for that, but I think so. Yeah, he looked.
No, really I think. Yeah. What's that? One Clipper right here. I think Dasso. If Dasso is not on the podium, I would be disappointed because she's, other than Julien, I think she's looked the best out there.
Yeah, she's been. Zainab is looking really good.
She ran 7:02 too. So
yeah. And I think she's been working on. It's the trouble when she gets out of indoors and go
outdoors is really the problem, but indoors she's really good. So if anybody can probably upset Julien, right. It's Dasso probably be the person to do that. Yeah, because I watched all her races this year. She looks really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, I thought Azu looked decent too at the British
Azu. Right now, Azu for me is probably the favorite for World Indoors. I honestly think so.
Even ahead of Anthony. Even I guess Anthony has to make the US team first, but that's
that's another thing. But 6:43 is one race, but and Azu has been between 6:50, 6:52, I think, and 6:56. I think that's where he's been ranging this season. But I'm sure that he's in a position where they're going to probably taper him for a little bit for World Indoors, so he's probably a lot faster.
Yeah, and he has the experience. And he talked about being a new dad, which happened last year, because you remember he was like flying. Was it that? He was flying back and forth for some event last year when his wife or his partner was in labor and moving around. So I think he talks about what it means to be to focus, and this year might be the year for him. So I don't know. We'll see.
Could be,
because he did those 10 last year too, right?
Yeah, he did. I think World Indoors is going to be one of those meets where I think you're not going to have very many clear favorites for especially their sprint events. Yeah, where I think the field is close enough that on any given day somebody might come through and surprise, or not surprise, but win.
Oh, what we didn't talk about before we get off there, because we have it on the thumbnail. Noah Lyles. So he's walking around, and I actually, let's give him credit. I think people went out to see Noah Lyles. He has his wrestling belt, and he's hyping the crowd up, and I don't know what to make of it. I think I've heard people say, and I've seen some of the commentary around, Is he in the great shape? But I don't know if that's important for a Lyles in a season where there's nothing for him to do. I mean, he's just running because he wants to. I mean, Jareem did hand him something, but there's nothing for Noah to prove this year, right?
No, and I think it's a year when he said that, he's going to have fun. And I think there are things that he's working on. Clearly, he wants to get stronger. I am told that he's already stronger. His cleans are up by a significant percentage. And he looks bigger, which he says is because his body's maturing. Because I think his body's filling out now in the way, he's 29 now, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, thereabouts. So he's clearly stronger. And I think not knowing Noah, but if I put myself in his shoes, the fact that he lost in Tokyo last year.
In Tokyo, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He is looking to come back and do something significant in next year. And I think he has a target on Oblique Seville's back because Seville destroyed him during the course of last season. I think it was 3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. London, that wet night also in
Lausanne, and of course, and at the Worlds. Yeah. So I think he's thinking he needs to come back and beat this Jamaican youth. That's the thinking. So he's going to do everything possible this year to get stronger and to get faster.
Right. And I don't think the mind games will work again on Seville.
No, him knows that the mind games don't work.
Ever did, but those won't work.
Yeah. Yeah, him knows that the mind games don't work from Oblique don't work. So I think he's not definitely thinking about that anymore. But thinking about running fast. Can he get down to a 75? Yes, I think he can. I didn't think he was going to be able to go under 98. He proved me wrong. But if he goes 75, I don't think that'll be fast enough.
Yeah,
still,
I don't know if he can, but you never know. It won't be fast.
Yeah, because Oblique ran 977 jumping shoes, and you get the sense based on what the conversations that I've had with him that he's not planning to lose to nobody again. Right. And he's already faster than Noah. No, 977,
right?
979. Yes, it's a minuscule difference, but I think the psychological advantage is now with Oblique Seville. Right. Spoiler, I think, in all of this is the young man we just mentioned a while ago, Brianna Lyston.
Yeah.
Because
what about Kishane?
I don't know. I think Kishane has a lot to fix. That last third for Kishane has to be fixed. And if he doesn't fix it, he's going to find himself running up behind these guys all the time because they're stronger finishers. And it's one of the things I want to talk to a friend about. If I can just find the time to every time I reach up to you, take him already leave for the morning already. Because I drop my son at school and then I swing up there and thing, but him always, by that time, I'm gone. So I'm trying to, if I can pin him, I want to find out what plans they have to have, because you heard Donovan on the interview with David John and said just relax and run through the line, which is something I've been saying all the time. But if he doesn't fix it,
but I guess it's harder to do than in reality.
No, it's easier said. Look, and I've said it many times. It's easier said than done. But you're a professional.
That issue too, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Asaf had the thing where with Asaf, I think it was anytime anybody joined Asaf, Maurice Green said it to me at the stadium. I think it was. Anybody who the minute you join Asaf, he freezes. We saw that in Osaka in 2007. The man is leading comfortably over a field that nobody in that field prior to that point had ever beaten him before. Yeah. Not only did he lose, he came third. So it's not easy to do. I'm not saying that he's just going to get up on Monday and just snap him finger, but he has to learn how to do it. Because if he doesn't, he might find himself not in silver medal position anymore, but running 1, 2, 3, maybe don't. Because here's the thing. Next World Championships, Jamaica will likely have 4 men in that final. Right? Brian Levelle, Kishane Thompson, and maybe Akeem Blake. And if Brian Levelle is improving at the pace at which we see him improving, Brian Brianna Lyston could very well be a 9-7 low athlete by next season. So he has to find a way to fix that last 30. And because if he does, look, I've always felt that if Kishian can just relax that last 30, like he does at the national champ. You realize that he does at the national championships, but he doesn't do it. He runs 75 at the national championships in 2024, 77 last year. But he goes to championships and runs 9.82 or whatever it was that he ran. And he ran 9.79 in at the Olympics.
And there's no way the program is designed for that. We know we all know better. We don't even have to think twice about that. Yeah.
So if he just needs to go, just think of it as him running. Think I'm at the stadium. I'm running in front of home crowd. I'm running the national championships, and just relax the same way. And he will run the times. He will run I think he can run 9.6. I think he can run 9.6 now.
I agree.
So he needs to fix that 30 meters because he gets to 70 before everybody else. The thing is that from 70 to the 100, he's probably one of the slowest finishers of the elite sprinters. So he needs to fix that. So because if he doesn't fix it in 2 years, he might find himself in the final and not being run up anymore, but instead running 5th or 6th. Because if Jordan Anthony comes through and Level comes through, and I don't know if Akeem Blake will come through, but there are others. The kid from South Africa.
The South African guys.
So he needs to sort that out as best as he can, and then allow himself to just enjoy the moment, let the race come to him, as Donovan said, and stop trying to push him way through the line and just relax. So he has something to work on, and if I can get an opportunity to speak to Stephen Francis, you'll probably see that on the channel sometime soon. I've been meaning to do it from last year, actually, but then the hurricane came and messed up everybody's plans. So hopefully I'll get a chance to do that. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We'll see how it works out.
Sounds good. Well, Leighton, we always go along. It's not a problem, but we got to go. But thanks, everyone. If we didn't get a chance to get your comments on the screen or address them, just know that we'll be back soon as long as we plan it out. It seems like we're going often every Tuesday. We're not saying that's a routine, but
Here's the thing. We could do something after Thursday, after the meet on Thursday.
Thursday is going to be a good night. So we could probably do something after Thursday, after in the evening after the meet, because I think, So we can probably we'll notify her whether or not we'll come on after that and talk about it. We'll coordinate on that. But thanks everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and for those on the rebroadcast, get your comments in. We'll certainly try to respond to them whenever we get a chance. But for now, have a great rest of the evening, and Leighton, we'll talk soon. Bye bye.
Man, peace out.
All right.